the cops on me. On a mission to be champs since they let me free.
Prepare for combat, my adversaries crumble. Face it, I got a reputation for damage. Busters get ready to rumble. They lock me in a cell, have me trapped in a living hell. Though not guilty, I'm still in jail. Brother, I serve my time like a soldier. Maintain composure. My shadow boxing, the fight to the death. Busting boulders, every boxer with a pair of gloves. Best give up love. Here's a man from the makings of a thug. A lethal weapon, mind sharp. And in my heart, there's a wish to shake the world with the flurry of my black fist. Now once a high school dropout, now I'm the $1 million champ. Who's the next to get knocked out?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Another episode of Cheap Seats Box Show. Answer here, my boy JP. JP, what's up, man?
You know how we feel right now.
I gotta be honest, it's been a little tough. Man, well, first of all, we've been busy. Work has not slowed down. We're already in Christmas fucking mode already. But man, just you know what it is? The year has been so good that when it's lacking, it's a little bit more hard to get up to do a show. But we're here. We got a good card. I'm going to give you the good and bad of that card, of course. But let's do it. First things first, follow us on Twitter at Cheap Seats Box. iTunes, rate, review. You will be an official sponsor. As of yesterday, we had not had one. So we had the two. Thought there'd be a third one, man. You guys fucking suck, man. Jesus Christ. What kind of listeners are you guys? But anyway, we appreciate you guys joining us here. You can email us, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. Questions, comments, anything like that, hit us up. Look, last weekend, we're gonna run through this shit. We're gonna give everything the time it deserves. Burns, Crawler wins. Unanimous decision. Burns is done. Good, done. That's about all it deserved. How about the Super Six?
Bada boom, bada bing, knockout. Ref said it was over as soon as he hit the mat. Okay, I like the ice grill. That's about it.
I will say this: what I've been saying about the Super Series, the boxing Super Series, the super middleweights is just lacking, especially the first round. I think what you saw was the first part of like the divisional series in football. You're getting the second half this week, and then next round. I believe that the winner of Eubank and Groves is the winner of this tournament. It's been a lot less than the cruiserweights, even though the cruiserweights really there hasn't been one besides the knockout Dorticos over. And
Exactly. I can't pronounce it.
Kadrashov. There we go.
There you go.
But it's been lacking. I mean, the tournament has been good, but the matchups have not been close enough to where it's really drummed up any more excitement. And then after I think it's 2 more weeks, we're not going to have any fights till January. We'll see where the excitement level is then. 4 months later, 3 months later, and yeah, we did get the Bradis, Mike Perez predictions way off, yeah. And that if you watch that fight, thoughts and prayers with you guys. But this week we got something better, so we're done with all that bullshit. Okay, let's just. You know what? Let's start at the bottom. Let's start at the bottom of these cards. George Groves, Jamie Cox. This is not even a fight. It is, like I said, it's just a coronation of a semifinalist in George Groves. It would be best for him to just go ahead and come out strong like he does and get Cox out of there. Cox is he's just a guy. He's just he was basically the number 8 seed for a reason. Damn. Because he really shouldn't even have been in this tournament. Just look for Groves has turned it around since the losses to Froch. Mm-hmm. He had
good showing against that dog.
But Badu Jack, and he's turned it around a little bit. He beat Martin Murray. He's gonna beat the shit out of Jamie Cox. We will get to Eubank when he gets to Eubank, man. But I think that lead up may be the best thing in the lead up between him and Eubank Jr. may be the best thing that happens on the super middleweight portion of the World Boxing Super Series.
I'm picking Jamie Foxx. Just to be a dick. But yeah, Grove's he's got all the advantages in this fight. I mean, everybody has watched the NBA. When the 1 seed plays the 8 seed, it's over. So,
Usually.
So, you're not going to see Dikembe Mutombo crying on the floor this time. It's not happening.
And then you got the PBC, which I guess is still a thing, on Fox. In a card that, it drummed up some interest. Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares rematch, that draws some interest, even though people had a clear winner. The problem is they're not fighting each other, and they're fighting another fucking tune-up. And it's like, what's the point of this? This is the bad part of, this is the absolute worst part of the PBC, is extended layoffs. Every fighter comes off a fucking extended layoff besides Robert Guerrero. He's like the only guy who ever stayed active on that thing. And Wilder too, besides the injuries. He would fight 3 times a year. These guys don't fucking fight, man. When you take that much time off, you're always going to need a tune-up. So half of your fights are always tune-ups, man. And Abner Mares fought in December. This is a 10-month layoff. Santa Cruz, he fought Frampton in January. It's a 9-month layoff. I mean, it's just they're definitely taking that Keith Thurman route.
Yeah, if you're gonna take a layoff, at least fight each other off the layoff. Like, make it a challenge. Like this, the only thing I don't like about this is it's a tune-up to a rematch just in case Frampton don't happen. That's pretty much what it is. It's like, why didn't y'all just skip all of that and just get right to business? Mm-hmm. So, of course, we picking both of them guys to win separately on against their opponents, but, jeez.
Look, their opponents. Chris Avalos loses to everybody. Andres Gutierrez, why do you know his name? Because he's the guy who fell in the shower the day before he was supposed to fight Carl Frampton. That's the only reason we know these guys. It is what it is, man.
Sometimes when you do that spin move, you just don't have, the shower spin move doesn't work for everybody.
The good part of this weekend is the junior middleweight card on Showtime. The Tripleheader, Erickson Lubin, Jermell Charlo, Jarrett Hurd, Austin Trout, and Erislandy Lara, and Terrell Gachet, right? Again, half of this card semi-active. The other half, not so much.
Right.
And we're going to take the good. Let's just take the good of these matchups. You have 6 of probably the top 12 to 15 junior middleweights, because I don't know if I'm going to put Gachet in there. Austin Trout at his best, yes. Coming off a 1.5-year layoff, maybe not so much, but you never know. You think Gachet can give Lara any trouble?
No, but I think the layoffs, because Lara is one of those fighters. He always looks sharp, but the way he fights always bores people because of the layoffs too. So, but I don't think Gachet. I don't think he's on his level. I just don't. I mean, the last time I saw him, I couldn't say, yeah, I could see him in the putting the ass whipping on Erislandy Lara. I can't say that. I mean, he might be more competitive than I think, but I don't see it right now.
Well, if you haven't heard, go on Tail the Tape boxing podcast. They had Stephen Edwards, Breadman, on there. He made one good point about. Oh, he made a lot of good points, but one of the main point that he made was you talk about Erislandy Lara not being as elite as everybody says he is. Is he a really good fighter? Yes, but he's not a shutout guy. He never shuts anybody out. So this could be competitive. I would say the one thing, the X factor in this, is that there's some motivation because of the recent events here in Houston, that there'll be a little bit more motivation for Erislandy Lara to put on a show. He's going to call it the usual suspects, the guys he's never going to fight. The sad thing is there's other guys on these cards that he's not going to fight either, most likely. And that's the sad thing. There's plenty of opponents out there, and yet these fights...
Still not happening.
Yeah, where they're fighting the second-tier guys.
Like, I can see him and Charlo not fighting. Everybody else?
I think he said he would now that he left Ronnie Shields and went to Derek James. That they're not in the same camp anymore, so it's like that kind of brotherhood some of it is gone. But then again, you were with his brother all the time.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I don't see either one of them knocking each other out. It's going to be a Lara decision, probably in the 116-112 range. That's what I think. Let's jump down because I think the middle. I don't know if it's a middle fight. I don't even know how these things are lined up. This is what I'm gonna take second. Jermell Charlo versus Erickson Lubin. I think that this is a way too big of a jump for Lubin at this point. What do you see, man?
I see he's probably the most prepared out of the three between Trout and Cachet for his opponent. Am I betting against a Charlo? Absolutely not. But Lubin actually has been. He's been looking good. He's been looking good. So it'll be it's a very solid opponent for Charlo. But at the same time, he can be dangerous. Lubin could make it competitive. He has enough with him to have the skill to pull off an upset, but the cards really, like the stars really probably got to be aligned for certain things to happen for that, But I see Charlo winning this fight, saying 8-4, because I think he's a better fighter, but I like Lubin. I do. Young too.
Yeah, very young, and that's what I think of. That's why I say it might be a step too far. Has he looked good against way lesser opponents? Yes, but Charlo is seasoned. For as much as he's not on the radar of people, where his brother is kind of taking the spotlight that they thought he was going to get, he's been in there with credible opponents. He's been in there with, I wouldn't say no, that was his brother.
I'm bugging.
But, I mean, who was it? Gabe
Rosado.
Charles Hatley knockout, the last one we just saw. Yeah. There was why can't I think of the other fight? There's another one in there, though. But he's been seasoned enough, and his level of competition is way higher than Erickson Lubin. Plus, his boxing skills. He has a great skill set. He spent a lot of time with Erislandy Lara. He can fight off the back foot. He can use the jab. He can control distance. And now, working with Derek James, he's taken I think he's taken his level up a notch. He's now sitting on punches. He's now bringing more power. And what I did ask years ago, this is about 4 or 5 years ago, I asked, shouldn't he, since he is an identical twin, his physical makeup should be the exact same of his brother, so he should have that kind of power. And recently we've seen that he does. He just wasn't sitting down and willing to leave himself open.
Aggressive as his brother.
But he has actually brought that out. That has been brought out to him, and sometimes changing the trainer. Not like he wasn't getting it done with Ronnie Shields. It was working with Ronnie Shields. The change has been good for him. He has taken his game to the next level, and this is the third or fourth fight with James, and that's about the time when you really start to get into a groove with your new trainer. It's 3 to 4 fights in, so he's going to be as good as he's ever been in this fight. I'm going to be honest, Lubin, he's got power. He can leave himself open. And the way that Charlo's always been a guy who looks for that perfect counter, that perfect punch. He's always, and that was one of my critiques of him. But in this fight, that can certainly pay a benefit when Lubin leaves himself open to counter him, to hit him with shots like he hit Charles Hatley with, which maybe one of the best knockouts of the year. I think he's going to get another stoppage win. I see him stopping Erickson Lubin around 8 or 9. I think he's going to catch him. I just think that this level this jump is too high. You're going to see some of what you saw with J-Rock and his brother.
Ooh.
You're going to see where those openings that you weren't getting. When you leave yourself open, you're not getting countered because the guy's not as good. You're going to see some of that play a part in this fight.
Saying that, it plays into what you said earlier. The brother's looking for the shots now, and now he's pulling out the power. So they switching up the game of each other halfway in. So people going to be expecting the wrong fighter when they see him in the ring.
That's what I'm saying. They have multiple styles, and when you had that 3-fight group at Snack here, or not Snack, that's in Bay Area, at Plex here in Houston, you had those 3 different styles, and I think that Jermell has kind of meshed everything a little bit more than even his brother, and definitely more than Erislandy Lara have. I look for him to shine in this fight. I really do. I think the name Lubin, and he's one of the great young fighters, but I don't think he's ready at this point for this level of competition. I think it's going to show by about round 4. I think you're going to truly see the difference.
It can be a Sullivan, Barrera, Andre Ward moment. It could be.
I think that the most interesting fight, as far as competitiveness, is definitely Jarrett Hurd and Austin Trout. Because Hurd, yes, he's a champion. He's coming off a not as impressive performance against Tony Harrison. And let's put it like this. Even at this point in his career, if Austin Trout is at his best, even though it's not as good as it used to be, at his best, he is a better fighter than Jarrett Hurd. Now, will the layoff... I mean, he really is a part-time fighter at this point. I think this can go one of 2 ways. This can be a dominant performance by Jarrett Hurd, just totally just overwhelming Austin Trout, or Austin Trout taking him to school.
You know what's crazy about this fight? Styles makes fights. Hurd is wild. And Trout is just 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. So he could get caught right down the middle on a regular basis getting wild. Or he could wind up clipping Austin because sometimes he didn't really have too much pop behind that jab. And it was just 1-2, 1-2. And that was one of my biggest concerns about him, was like, he's just a 1-2 fighter. You got to throw out the punches. He did it the last time he fought, 7 years ago, but, but...
And that was the loss against Charlo.
Yeah, but, that...
Which was a much better showing than what people thought he was going to give. And we even said that going in that fight, like, yeah, Charlo should dominate him, but Austin Trout isn't that type of fighter where he gets down. He's been in with even better fighters than what Charlo was at that time, and that was Canelo, and that was a Cotto. He's been in there. He did get shut out by Lara.
Oh, yeah. That's the crazy part about it. That's why in this fight, the challenger, even with the layoff, is probably the favorite. Because even with his age and layoff, the experience of it will be like, I can make this, because he's been hurt a few times, but he really hasn't been, you can't really just floor Trout like that. So can I see, it's unlikely to see him getting knocked out. So I'm like, he might pepper this dude to death and wind up winning the title again. And I know Swift's like, whatever, I'm gonna go in there. You go in there wild, you gonna catch a 1-2.
And not only is he wild, and I made this point on his last fight against Harrison, was not only is he wide with his punches, but where his technique is really not good, where remember I showed you how he would almost palm punch a guy, where he wouldn't turn his fist over towards his opponent. It was open away from the opponent, which only means it's that much longer. And when you're facing a guy who can counter you like Austin Trout, that could be the split second that he needs to boom hit you with a quick 1-2 that you don't see coming. Could it catch him off balance? Maybe. Trout doesn't have the power to knock him out. But in between punches, he could definitely catch him and drop him. No serious hurt or anything like that, but that could definitely happen. I'm gonna roll the dice on this one, man. I really think that Trout, because of his style, that his style ages well. Like, even without a lot of activity in the ring, he's not a guy who's a high output guy. Now, the one thing was his timing may be off at the beginning, and that's where you're going to see, I think, the separation around 6 or 7 is where you're going to start to see where your old school guy is going to kind of start to see the opening, catch the openings, timing them a little bit better. Where maybe in the beginning he will be a little bit overwhelmed by the speed and some of the athleticism that Hurd has, but those openings that he leaves himself open to, I think by the middle of that round you're going to start to see Trout capitalizing on those openings. It's going to be a really tight 7-5 fight. I think either way it's going to be about 7-5 because Trout's just that kind of fighter. But I'm going to say he's going to get the upset, man. And the sad thing is the IBF. This was one of the fights I forgot about was when we're talking about the IBF. They don't like to enforce their rules, but sometimes they like to enforce the rules, but sometimes they don't. Remember, they gave Hurd he was supposed to make it mandatory. This is not as mandatory. This is an optional, and they gave it against a guy who hasn't won in over 2 years.
But this might be the wrong style.
It can give you a sense of overconfidence that can really be detrimental. I just think that Trout's going to really expose every opening and every flaw that he has in his technique. I think he's going to exploit those. It's going to be nip and tuck because what are you going to like? Are you going to like the power shots of Hurd, or are you going to like the precision counter shots that I think Trout's going to catch him with? It's going to be one of those fights where people are going to be like, I don't think either way, as close as this fight can be, that people will be like, I can see it. I mean, I thought the other guy won, but I could see it. And I think it's either way, it goes that way.
I think the advantage that Hurd would have is if he makes it a rough, old school Timothy Bradley fight. But because he wants to swing for the fence, he's gonna leave himself open for that jab and that straight. Like if I was him, I would Sean Porter him all night, because then it makes it look bad because that's not his style. You really mashed up the whole scenario by just because his style does that, and plus the fact that Trout is still a big guy, long reach. Do you really want to go with those wild punches for that? Because he's gonna be throwing fastballs, no change up, just bat, bat, and it's like it's this situation. Though he's the champion, he's with advantages of age, power, even aggression. The type of opponent he's facing doesn't have it in his favor. It's just, to me, he's probably primed to lose this fight. And I think Austin Trout is probably more prepared than most people think. Because even though he hasn't won in 2 years, Hurd's the worst opponent that he's faced in the last 4 or 5 years.
That's true.
So, we talking Cotto, Canelo, Lara, Charlo. You're not really in the cap, man. This may be a bad look.
It's definitely.
If I was you, I'd take him to dinner the night before and hope he don't make weight.
You calling the upset?
Yeah.
That's about it for the week. A couple other things. We didn't get to hit on the failed drug test of Luis Ortiz. Mm-hmm. Look, I can go both sides of this. Wilder said he still wanted to fight him. The WBC is very loose with their fucking rules. Honestly, should have just let the fight go through. He's going to get more stringent tests. He fails no test, fights off. because the guy that they slid into his spot just failed test last year. So it's really not. They're really not that stringent against these fucking things. They didn't even get rid of Povetkin the first time he failed the fucking test. So they're really not that high up on following their own rules.
Why do you have to talk about facts?
I'm saying,
Like, why are you telling the truth here? This is wrong with you.
and then also, I can see him not having to fight. Like, hey, if he didn't want to, I'd be. Let's play it. If Wilder was like, nope, I'm not fighting him. Fuck that. I'm tired of this bullshit. And everybody's failing tests. Fine, he has that right. Ortiz also doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. I know stuff came out. Well, it could be this. It was the blood pressure medicine and this, and it could have been this. You already have a failed test. You don't get the leeway of, oh shit, you know what? I forgot to disclose that. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. So I have no sympathy for him at all. You're a cheat. Whether you like it or not, you're a cheat.
How many athletes we knew who were just on drugs?
Do they not know we're doing a show? These motherfuckers over here.
Hey,
this public park. They just gonna go ahead and talk over us?
It's like that.
I know.
No respect. They're taking a knee on our show, disrespecting the. Anyway, the problem is, dude, you got caught, and it's not that you got caught the first time. You know what makes it worse this time? Wilder at that press conference, don't fuck this up. Because then it's like, he was talking as if, I've been down this road with other fighters, man. It's kind of looking the same. And now you saying blood pressure medication. Bro, I'm in line with most people that say this. You mean you didn't tell them that you were taking blood pressure medication? I mean, that was a very easy thing to say. Like, I'm taking blood pressure medication. Oh, you know what I forgot to tell y'all? I'm taking blood pressure. Really? You the one with the high blood pressure?
Not only that, and you're the one with the failed drug test. You should be crossing every T, dotting every I, all that bullshit that they say. That's your job. You have one job when it comes to filling out that fucking form, is disclosing every fucking thing that you can. Because if nothing else, you leave yourself an out.
Exactly. And I mean, and that's Stavern was out from last year. I told him. But you that sounds like you took your blood pressure medication in the morning, filled out the application in the afternoon, and say, I forgot about what you need, ginkgo biloba too? Like, I mean, ridiculous. You failed. I mean, whatever you did, you failed. Yeah.
And let's just put this out there. Let's be honest. I gotta be honest. I don't think Donald Trump is the only one tied to Russia. I think somebody may be tied to the Russian mob, and that may be Deontay Wilder. It just seems that only his fighters seem to get caught all the time with the dope. It could be coincidence. It could be when he's telling Luis Ortiz, don't fuck this up, almost like he knew something. Like, look, you're gonna fail the test. You better have all your shit ready.
All I know is, look, now, see, we could try to make a conspiracy. If, like, Snowden was from Alabama, then you could say he had the Russian fighters, the Cuban fighters with communism and Russia ties, and then Snowden is from Alabama. Roll Tide. They're like, oh, this motherfucker's a kingpin. But, I don't think Snowden's from Alabama. But it's just, I give him the credit for this. He is officially the boogeyman, because if the three fighters got to get popped for drug tests when they fight him, I mean, Jesus. Like, come on. Y'all scared of the boxing LeBron James. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing it's like Wilder obviously has pull with the WBC. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. The guy's going on 3 years without a mandatory defense.
Technically, this is going to be it.
No, this wasn't it.
Technically.
No, now it's going to be. It wasn't going to be. He was going to go more than 3 years without a mandatory defense. And it's not his fault. Yes, he did sign one time to fight a mandatory because it was ordered and it was a purse bid. Not because he chose to. This was the first time he had chose to fight a fight he didn't have to. Now, because he said, I still want the fight. I almost feel like the WBC would have said yes. So to me, it's almost like I do feel in a way that Wilder to the public was saying, yeah, we'll do this fight, and then the WBC's like, nah, I ain't fighting no cheater, which he has the right to do. But it just seems like he has so much pull with WBC not having to defend in 3 years that him saying, no, I still want this fight. I don't know, man.
The way I look at it, they're going to fight anyways. They're going to fight anyways. And if he said he wanted to do it, give it to him. Because honestly, he already know nobody wants to see him and Stavern again. But on top of that, it'll probably bring more eyes to the sport. He's like, wow, we got a clean fighter fighting a known steroid user. And even if Ortiz would have won, they couldn't give him the title. So just let him fight.
And the last thing on it was that Dillian White was like, hey, I'll fight you. And if you look at the rankings, he was number 3, I think. Number 3 in WWE. Well, you already had him fighting number 2, not even number 1. Number 3's right there. It's a different fight. It's probably most definitely a more lucrative fight because you could fight that either here or in the UK and make money off of it. That even though I'm not high on Dillian White, and I think he's the greatest fighter ever, it still would have been a better fight than the Stavern rematch. And it's a different fight than what we've seen. There's still that level of, he could have. He might be able to catch him. Where in this fight, there's none of that. There's no chance.
Too flat-footed, too slow, too old at this particular point. Just too much nothing.
And he was fat 3 years ago when they fought. And he ain't fought but one time since. So what do you think he's going to look like now? He's got to be over 300 pounds.
I mean, Vince Wilfork could play basketball. He's big. I mean,
he's like heavy D.
I don't think
he's smooth for a fat guy.
Hell no. He's not like hell no. He cannot do the Super Bowl shuffle at all. He is not that smooth at all. Maybe he could shimmy with the shoulders, but other than that, the feet is not going anywhere. Well, here's the thing. Oh, yeah. Wilder, you better knock his ass out because he ain't going nowhere. He ain't moving.
That fight, fuck that fight. That fight's terrible. But Cotto, Mikey Garcia, rumors were out there that got smashed. But the rumor is now that, that is now, it could, on December 6th, I think it is, that it could be Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter. Unification fight. I ain't mad at that.
That's a fight.
It's a fight. It's a risk. It could be definitely a size, mismatch for him because just the length and the reach and the height of Easter is something that, let's be honest, he ain't fought. Even going up to 140 against Broner, he was fighting a guy basically the same size as him.
If that happens, my prediction was true. Yeah. That he was just getting, Broner was there for a paycheck and to size him up for Robert Easter. The Cotto fight, I wish, I saw what Mikey had to say. He was like, man, he wanted a certain number. One person told him one number, then they told another part of the crew the other number that he was looking for, and that kind of messed up the deal because he would have took it if he had offered him that, if he would have known they would have offered that. So, because I guess that fight can't happen, but I don't see why. I mean...
Well, they're talking that Golden Boy wanted...
Him and Linares, right?
Well, they wanted options.
Right.
And he wasn't willing to do options, which is both of their rights. Word, not fact, is that this was his 3-fight option. You get Cotto, Linares, Matisse. Gotta be honest, it's not the worst 3-fight contract ever.
That's a good. Cotto's on his way out.
Exactly.
Linares didn't look good, but not good. Right. And Matisse, love Matisse, but he just hasn't been the same since that eye shot.
No. And honestly, as much as I like the Linares fight, because technically it's a really, really good matchup, but you just knew that the power. Not really, but that my presumption was that it wasn't a matter of if Mikey was going to win, it was going to be how. Was it going to be a tight chess match, or was he going to definitely get to Linares' chin and stop him late? Which is either one of those was probably the most highest probability. He probably is too much for a young guy like Easter, but there's more question marks with that fight. There's more ways. I think there's more ways that Easter poses issues for him that Linares didn't. Because I think move for move, punch for punch, he's going to hang with Linares. Anything Linares can do, trust me, Mikey Garcia can do. But you can't teach length.
Right. Yeah, but that's the interesting part about him and Easter, because sometimes Easter doesn't use his length. He's just right there. So they could literally be right eye to eye, because Easter will come down and fight you on your level, in your wheelhouse, and I don't think that would be a good idea with Mikey, because that technique is nice, but who knows, because if he does that, I was like, Mike, you giving Mikey advantages, not Joe.
Yeah. In that last fight, which was, I can't remember.
The
Russian guy. I can't think. Yeah. But anyway, he started to fight a little bit off the back foot, and he started using distance a little bit better. Mm-hmm. He better channel a lot of that if they match up, because he wants to go inside and negate his length and his reach. Mikey's going to eat him up. He definitely ain't ready for that step up. But it is definitely, to me, it's a more intriguing matchup.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's as competitive. It could be, but it's definitely more intriguing. There's more questions about that matchup to me than there is with the Linares thing. Because like I said, I think he can match Linares and everything Linares can do, but the power is going to be the thing that separated those two, and the chin.
Because and one thing they're trying to do, trying to be slick, but even though Cotto and Matisse are older, technically they're bigger, and they're still known for having power. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to negate his skill with their power, because there's nobody who ever said that Cotto couldn't punch. There's nobody who ever said that Matisse couldn't punch. But the jump up in weight, that would be the deal breaker.
Is there any way that could? Who's he supposed to fight? He's supposed to fight Saddam Ali.
Yeah.
God,
that's why I say get him out of the way.
Why couldn't Saddam Ali fucking get hurt and then they could slide in Matisse for that? Wouldn't a Cotto Matisse fight about 150 be a great appetizing fight?
Man, that you know what? Say it again. Say it again.
Cotto against Matisse at 150. That was the fight to make. Because then what you do with Matisse is you reestablish him.
Yeah.
And you have him under contract, and now you make him a legit star. You fucked up, Golden Boy.
I mean, he wouldn't be the first person that they pay step aside money to.
Nah, get the fuck out of here. He ain't got it.
Look, you take the winner.
Yeah. Because
Cotto is almost out of here. This is supposed to be his last fight. If he wins,
Let's be honest. Saddam Ali's a 147 guy. He's fighting for 154 title. They can still fight for the 154 title at 150. I'm just saying. To me, that was just more upside. Even 151. I think they fucked up.
Say it again.
A golden opportunity, man. Golden opportunity. That was a missed opportunity. Matisse Cotto should have been the swan song. But then again, Cotto don't want to lose. So, but I think he might have lost against Mikey.
Yeah.
This card, this junior middleweight card, one of the better cards this year. Just real quick, I was thinking about this too, and this has been a maybe the best year that I can remember, as far as top to bottom, start to finish. But in cards like this, really accentuated, because you minus the bad stuff I talked about, the layoffs, the matchups, and the biggest problem with the PBC and PBC cards is they tend not to
follow up.
There's no storyline afterwards. It's a one part story, you know. It's a 1-part miniseries that like it don't make no sense, you know. These miniseries should be 3-4 parts. It's always one, but it is one of the better cards. We've had really great cards, but the dilemma I was coming up with, and the Robert Easter thing could change all this was, at this point we're almost done with the year. Who would be a Fighter of the Year candidate at this point? Just candidates. It's hard because nobody fights more than once or twice.
That's why Andre Ward is the Fighter of the Year. It's Andre
one fight.
Ward, Terrence Crawford, technically Mikey Garcia.
See, and that's where I think I think that Robert Easter thing's really going to put me over the top, because if you go Zlatikanen, Broner, Easter, that might be enough to get it for you. It's 3 times in a year,
Mm-hmm.
3 legit names, and wow, what if he stopped Easter?
Then he'd be
You have 2
Fighter of the Year.
knockouts and a shutout versus Broner. It's hard to say no to that.
But this Lomachenko-Rigo fight could
But they don't. I don't think they have the opponents other than those 2 to really back up.
they
a
don't.
Fighter
But
of the Year.
but ironically, you know what you need to do, and nowadays, just fight close to the end of the year, and it's the thing that everybody remembers.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
And the one thing that I've always said was I always gave it to the fighter who beat the best fighter, but I always wanted them to follow it up with one more fight. I can't just give it to you for you fought one time and you beat. Yeah, that's great, you know. But let's put it like this: if Vladimir Klitschko ends up getting that stoppage win against Anthony Joshua, he ain't my Fighter of the Year, because you got to do more than the one fight. I'm probably going to go the same route with Andre Ward. Yeah.
Right now,
Did you beat the best fighter this year? Yeah. Canelo and Triple G took themselves out because it was a draw. Jacobs, Canelo might have got it for a Triple G.
yeah. What was that? Was that November?
No, that was this year.
I'm bugging.
That was when was that? March.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it was March because they pushed that back to March.
If Spence had another fight against somebody,
legit.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like if he had another fight against,
that's what I'm saying. Like, as good as this year's been, and it has been great. We've had great knockout wins. We've had great fights. I just mentioned Joshua and Klitschko, one of the best fights of the year, especially at the heavyweight division at that highest stakes. Knockouts of the year, Latikin and Garcia is one. Lemieux and Stevens is another. I mean, there's a lot of big knockouts. But, man, there's nobody at this point, and we only got a couple months left. There's nobody sticking out as Fighter of the Year.
You know who my Fighter of the Year is right now? Conor McGregor. One fight, 100 million, and he ain't shit.
How about this? How about because I never watched the fight, but I don't need to watch the fight because he could be the fighter who gained the most without winning a fight. He definitely could be that one.
He is that. Absolutely that.
But yeah, I was just thinking about that as I'm coming over here to meet you for this. It's like, who the hell is a Fighter of the Year at this point? It's a tough. I mean, there's names to put out there, but there definitely is no clear-cut favorite. I mean, it really is like, it is basically give me your best win, because that's what Fighter of the Year has turned into. You know.
I mean, and I ain't trying to be a dick about this, but I mean, you could put Clarissa Shields in because she had a great year. You know, it's like,
just not on Twitter, Instagram.
Right. Just say, I'm like, the names. There are some names like the Lomachenko-Rigo fight is gonna say a lot because that fits the bill of whoever beat the best fighter. Also, even with the weight differential and all that other shit, but people are just gonna look at it in that way. If anything, if Crawford could get a decent fight before the end of the year, he could really make a push for it. But because Mikey, I mean, if Mikey would have beat Cotto, come on, it's not too much you could say. You know what I'm saying?
I think
it's nice.
even a win against Easter, unifying
That's bigger
two
than Cotto.
titles at
Yeah,
135. I think that's going to really push it over the edge for me because I mean, who else? It is more of a who else do you got? It's really going to be hard to give me somebody better than those 3 wins.
No,
You're going to have 2 great wins, and I don't think anybody has 2 great wins. There are people who have 1 good win or 1 great win and maybe 1 good win.
right. But he would have went up what? How many weight classes?
Who's that?
This year, Mikey. If he would have fought Cotto, how many weight classes?
That would have been 1, 2, 3 weight class. 4. Well, he would have fought at 135, 140, and 154.
Right.
So he'd have fought at 3 different weight classes, but basically a separation of 4 different weight classes.
Yeah, that would have been that's some epic shit, you know. I don't know, man. I wish, man. We wish maybe technically, you can put Rungvisai in there. You know, technically.
That's a good. That is you could, especially because the fact that's a good call because if and he didn't win the first fight. That's fuck that. He didn't win that first fight. Just like I said, Ward didn't win that first fight. But if on the records you have 2 wins, 1 dominant stoppage win over Chocolatito, and he's supposed to fight Juan Francisco Estrada in December. Ooh. Yeah, that might be a fighter of the year because you're talking about beating 2
hellified.
I wouldn't have put Estrada in the top 10 pound for pound because he wasn't active enough. But talent-wise, beating 2 top 10 talents in all of boxing, yeah, you might be right there with it. Even if I think you lost that first fight against Chocolatito, that's a strong call. It may come down to those 2 people.
Yeah.
It really could.
You see how we ahead of the game, folks.
Always ahead of the game. We're going to cut it off there, man. You can see it's starting to thin out. It's like a guy's hair in his 40s. It just starts to thin out a little bit. Actually, not really. I got all of mine.
You made it to your 40s. I was Lex Luthor at about 15.
Well, you know, it was just so people could get the picture. Shit's starting to thin out. We can get a little bit more topical. One thing you can look forward to this year is one thing we've never done. There will be a month layoff between our last show of this year and the first show. We usually only do like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Yeah. There's been a burnout lately, man. It's been killing us, man. I got something special for you guys, though. I got a gap filler in there, though. In between our last show and then our awards show, I'll have some filler in there. I'll take care of you guys. But for us, we're going to take off a month.
Maybe we can get a Tyson Fury karaoke episode.
We can do that. I don't want to put my idea out there. My idea is brilliant. But
don't let
yeah, people will steal that shit. Yeah, we'll cut it off there. It's like I said, send in them topics, man. Hit us up on Twitter at CheapSeatsBox. Email us, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. Any show topics that you guys may want hit. I'm not going to guarantee that we're going to hit the ones you asked for, but if it's good enough and strong enough, we will definitely use it because the next couple months, it's hit and miss. There's a lot of open weeks where there's not a lot going on. So we can definitely do that. iTunes, rate and review, be the next unofficial sponsor. You know how we do it. If you do take time out, we will shout you out. We will give you an episode and make you our unofficial sponsor. It is more important than ever to do that. I can't implore you guys to do it enough. And I'll tell you why. The new iOS 11, and everybody knows iTunes is the #1 spot for podcasts. Before, when you would go on your iPhone, you could probably list the top 50 shows in any genre. All you got to do is hit the genre. I want boxing, boom, and we'd be there. That's when we'd be at 32, 36, and I could find us still. Then it moved to about 25, right? Yeah. And now it's at like 12. So when you search boxing, you're only going to get the top 12 shows that come on. Thank God that we're in that top 12. We are in the top 5, but we need you guys to keep on giving the rate and review. It just keeps the show more noticeable. People see it, hear. What it's really going to do is wipe us out in the UK because we're not in the top 10 and top 12 in the UK. Old phones will give you because we're in the top 25 in the UK. But if you guys could do that, hey, how about you UK guys? Give us a couple rating reviews on the UK and hit me up on Twitter at ChieFCBox and I will shout you guys out. Anything helps. We appreciate you guys to take time out. Like I said, it just keeps the show noticeable. It keeps so new people can keep on finding it. JP, I think that's about it. You got anything else, man?
Thank y'all. Thank you very much. And this is where the fighters fight and the fans commentate.
And we do it just like you from the cheap seats because we ain't buying no tickets, goddammit. Peace.
Again, I'll be the next heavyweight champion. Call me crazy, but no one can fake